Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone, and it's caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown! INDY! A 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Renew now, drives in low, throws up a shot. It doesn't go. Tipped up and in by Anthony Leal. Indiana takes the lead.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Now, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard to this Tuesday edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you so much for being with us. Always great to have you. Another big show planned today. Jim Coyle with you as always. Mike DeCourcy will join us. Chronic Hoosier, and special guest, our good friend, John Boy.
Mr. Charlie Miller.
Charlie Miller. Yes, sir. Been a minute since we've had the opportunity to talk to Charlie, but he's going to be close by soon as well. So we'll look forward to talking to him about that. But lots to get in today and lots to talk about. Have you heard about this Kyle Filipowski story? John, have you followed the Kyle Filipowski story?
I have, and it is I hate that the first word that comes to mind is disturbing, but
no,
there are aspects to it that are a little disturbing, that's for sure. But it really just seems like
if we were talking about 30 or 40-year-old people, which they will be one day, it would be different. But this started a long time ago. So, yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, and so I won't get into all the weeds. I'll let you kind of dictate where that takes us. But essentially, Kyle Filipowski has been dating somebody who is several years older than him for a while.
8 years older than he is.
And used to be his babysitter in some aspect. And there's some weird elements to it, and a lot of this became public information right before the NBA draft, during interviews and stuff like that. And a lot of people believe that the reason that Kyle Filipowski kind of fell to the second round is because of all of these issues surrounding his relationship with his girlfriend. And soon after that, you saw a lot of family members online, specifically his mother and his brother, I believe, and kind of sister, voicing, right? Do what?
And a sister too, right?
Yeah, may have been a sister. I remember those two specifically, but those family members voicing that they don't approve of the relationship that he is in with this woman. And now, and one other aspect to it that's kind of funny, the girlfriend he is with is Mormon, and he got drafted by the Utah Jazz. So that's just kind of a funny little coincidence.
I did not realize that. Oh, man. Yes, she is a Mormon, and let's see. She was 25 when she accompanied him to his senior prom.
Yeah, that's something.
So there you go. Now, let me ask you this. If this had been reverse and this had been an 18-year-old girl with a 25-year-old guy at a senior prom, how would that have gone over?
Yeah, this would be probably a much bigger story on multiple different levels. We talked about that on the show I do in the afternoons. So yeah, it's definitely something.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird, but it is what it is, man. So wow. And then here's another story. William Leah Thomas. He was the 554th ranked male freestyle swimmer while at Penn. Then he decided to identify as a woman. And he became the NCAA's women's 500-meter freestyle champion. Because it's the NCAA, of course, who has no balls, speaking of men or women. But the Olympics said, not so fast, my friend. No. We don't allow men to compete against women. rightfully so. So, William or Leah, either, will not be competing in the Olympics. Riley Gaines, who tied William or Leah in one of these events, is now part of a lawsuit suing the NCAA. The NCAA is I mean, I don't even have to say they're a joke. This is why. They do absolutely nothing. They do nothing right. Now they're being sued over this, rightfully so, because they too have no balls. That is just crazy beyond crazy. And it's not the first time that this has happened, but this is just utterly ridiculous on its face. We're talking common sense and common science here. Common sense science. I don't get what is so hard to comprehend about. I don't care what you identify as. That's not what your body was made as. I don't care if you want to think if it's God or nothing or wherever we come from. Doesn't matter. You're not created as two things. You're created as one, your body. And it has certain aspects that go along with that. But boy, that could last all day, couldn't it? John Boy. Oh, well. Appreciate everybody jumping on the Andy Moore Honda hotline as well. You can do so if you're following us along on YouTube. Or, John Boy, don't forget we have the call-in line. We don't promote that. We haven't started promoting that.
That's true. We failed on that aspect. I'll take some of the blame for that.
Well, just let's make sure we get it in a typing form so we can put it up.
I do have it in a typing form. I'll shoot it up there right now.
Have a little scroll. There we go. If you want to call in now, you can leave a message and we'll play the message because obviously live would not be smart on our part. But it's just simply the 317, out of the Indianapolis area, the 317-699-2002. Again, it doesn't matter where you are, how are you listening. 317-699-2002. Call and leave a message. And if it's a question about something, we'll play it during a segment to where that is appropriate. And get you, just say your name. Of course, long-time listener or something creative. And then what your comment or question is. And we'll get to that. Looking forward to that. I know several of you guys have been wanting to do that. So boom, there's your opportunity. But it gives those an opportunity who are not always able to catch us live the chance to do the same. And of course, the biggest news other than going on right now is the fact that Junior All-Star, this past year Junior All-Star, and one of the top candidates for Mr. Basketball in Indiana next year, Trent Sisley, and one of the top targets for Indiana and Purdue, heading to Montverde Academy down in Florida. And you can't say that's a complete shock. When we talk to Todd Leary on Monday, he'll explain it to you even further why this is a great move for Trent, while it is a needed move for Trent to get better. This is no knock on Heritage Hills. No knock. He's got a good coach there, a great support. The community has supported him greatly, but in Trent's best interest, he needs to do something like this because as a player at Heritage Hills, he's basically having to play center and get double and triple teamed, which does him no good. That is not what it's going to be like for him at the next level. He's not going to get double and triple teamed if he's on a team that has the support that draws that away, which Montverde will definitely supply that. but also able to allow him to play his position out on the wing, where he has not been able to do that, to work on his game as a wing, someone that can play outside, shoot outside, move inside when needed to, but be a much more impactful part of the offense. And this will allow him to do that. Not only that, Kevin Boyle at Montverde is an incredible coach. The talent level that they play, off the charts. They play against the best of the best. And hopefully you'll see them in the Chipotle finals, which happened in Brownsburg now. So good opportunity for that. I look forward to going back down to the Montverde Invitational again, where I've been the last couple of years. And this will be even cooler to see that. I hate that Trent's not going to be around for us to cover him as closely, but again, this is best for him. I know his family's going to hate not being able to see as many of his games, but again, it's what's best for him and his development as a player. And even if you're a fan of, doesn't matter if you're a fan of Purdue or Indiana or Notre Dame, wherever he ends up, he's going to be better off and a better player for that. Without question. He's someone on the rise, but he's been overlooked. As a matter of fact, in one rankings that came out, he dropped a few spots, which was ridiculous because he had an incredible summer. Yeah, it's a sad state for Indiana basketball because we have seen so many guys now. Trent, go back then Jalen Harrelson, who's also in his class, transferred to La Lumiere, and the others before that. I think Caden Catchings was also, what is he, at Overtime Elite? The state loses those guys off of the all-star teams. They lose those from the aspect of vying for Mr. Basketball, and that part's a shame, but it's a part of the life of college basketball now, unfortunately. And so Trent will not be eligible for any of those things next year. And I hate that for him because he's deserving, but so are the other guys that played. There's just no way to make that happen. It also makes you wonder, like, dang on, man, the all-star team just lost. Can you imagine the Indiana all-star team with Trent Sisley and Jalen Harrelson on it next year? They're not going to have either of those guys as they take on Kentucky. So, but we'll try to get Trent back on at some point and talk to him how that came about. But I talked to his dad yesterday. I talked to Todd Leary yesterday, and Todd said that, and I'm comfortable saying this, but that, during the team camp where they were at Indiana not too long ago playing, that Todd just said, he just shook his head and he's like, this is doing him no good. And like I said, it's not. It's just it's almost pointless for him to try to develop as a player in that role. It's just not doing him much good because he is a much better player than is being seen in high school. But that will change. It'll be interesting to see who all Montverde winds up with, because they also lost a lot off of an undefeated national championship team, including former IU commitment Liam McNeely, who decommitted and ended up at UConn. And then you had Derek Queen, who went to Maryland. But Indiana has had a good run with Montverde. You've got Jalen Hood-Schifino, of course, Malik Renew, who has come from there. So I think that the other two won't really have a bearing on that. This is just a good move for Trent. Montverde needs players like him. So we'll We'll discuss this a little bit more as the week goes on. But we've got a lot coming up here. Mike DeCourcy is going to join us, Chronic Hoosier, and Charlie Miller. We'll talk a little bit more of that with Charlie. Charlie's in player development, and he understands exactly what we're talking about here. So lots more to get to here on the Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Rusty Gator down in Bedford. Not only do they have incredible food, first of all, and not just food, but we're talking oceanic flavors, baby. Cajun style. It's where oceanic flavors meet Southern charm, nestled in the heart of Bedford. Seafood restaurant is a haven for those who crave the freshest catches of the sea in a laid-back and inviting atmosphere. They've got a free concert series this summer, which I was there over the weekend for Cody Eichert. It was a blast. It rained, and it still didn't dampen things. People just they fought the rain out, waited the rain out, and in between, great time. You've got the Harp Commons that's right behind the Rusty Gator, and it's a perfect setup. But they've got a patio out there. Great time. So make sure you head down to the Rusty Gator in Bedford. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market.
All right, we're bringing in old Mike DeCourcy.
Right on time.
Of course.
All right, I'll be right back.
Oh, what is new with you, Michael?
Oh, not a whole lot. How are you?
I can't complain, man. Nobody wants to listen to it. That joke is about as old as me. I use it all the time. Let's see. Move you down. Put you here. Paste. All right. Move you down. I'm just moving some stuff around here. Come on, hurry. Oh, man, you're slow. Oh, come on. What's new in your world, Mike?
Nothing really. Stayed up late last night writing up U.S. soccer. Getting bounced.
Man, I hate to say this, but I said it on a couple shows back. I'm like, all right, should the U.S. just quit? Just give up? Throw in the white flag on international soccer?
Are you asking me?
It's a joke, but it was in jest. But I'm like, okay, it's been long enough. The experiment is over. Just quit. What the heck? What the heck?
Jim, I heard you say something about the white flag for international soccer. I had to get up from my seat, though. What did you say?
Oh, I was just asking Mike. I said, should the U.S. just throw in the white flag on international soccer?
I mean, they shouldn't do that, but I'll tell you what, it does feel like they've been doing the same thing for about 12 years now. The cycle of hurting has been the same. And they've only got 2 years to figure it out before they host the World Cup.
That is true.
Well,
I think it starts with getting rid of Berhalter. But again, that's just the beginning of the cycle they've always done. Get rid of the guy and see if the next guy can figure it out. So
No, that's kind of what everybody does, though.
yeah, exactly. I guess it's all you can do. All right,
Yeah.
10 seconds, guys.
Shock, Market, and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by the Autograph app. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you on this Tuesday. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you as always immensely. Joined now by the great Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News and Big Ten Network. How are you doing, sir?
I am well, Jim. How are you?
I cannot complain. It's yesterday was an incredibly beautiful day. For July 1st, it seemed more like October 1st. It was just no humidity, no high temperatures. I'm like, what in the world? So cannot complain against the early summer weather, at least.
Well, that's good. Weather has been all over the place for the past several months, so we probably deserve a little bit of nice weather. I know that here in Pittsburgh, it's going to start to rain later in the week, so we have to enjoy it while we can. And it looks sunny out the window again today, so I'll take it.
Absolutely. Before you joined us, I was talking about Trent Sisley, one of Indiana and Purdue's top recruiting battles, is heading to Montverde University or Academy for his senior year. And while that's a smart move for Trent, it's the best move for Trent. It will
How
help
is it
Trent.
Why do you tell me that? Why is it a smart move and the best move?
Because currently in his situation, he plays for a small school in which he has to play out of position, has to play center. He's getting double and triple teamed. He can't work on his game. It's not what he'll be doing in college. And it just seems to keep him fenced in and able to do anything. And again, he's having to play center the whole time, which is not what he'll be doing in college. So it's prevented him from expanding what he can do like he does in the AAU circuit. But it also, I think it's also hurt him when you compare him to some of his peers who have really shot up the rankings boards while Trent has not, although he has still had an outstanding summer scoring. He does it all. When he had some team camps at Indiana not too long ago, his high school team, he had half of the points, including the game-winning shot. And again, it's just everything is laying on him. And it just, I think that, and knowing what goes on at Montverde with Kevin Boyle and how they run things, he will get to do exactly what it will be, a lot more like it will be in college. It will be running his position. But I'm not saying it's perfect. I know that the downside is it's another kid that the state of Indiana loses that won't be eligible for Mr. Basketball or the All-Star Series now. And I hate seeing that talent go away, like Jalen Harrelson. Can you imagine the Indiana All-Star team next year that would have had Trent Sisley and Jalen Harrelson on it, but they won't be on it?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, let me hit what you did at the end there. Excluding him from the All-Star Series is ridiculous. It's preposterous. He's an Indiana kid. He's not going to be not an Indiana kid because he spends a winter in Florida. That's a shame. And it's indefensible. It's one of those stupid rules that's indefensible along the lines of you have to have a 600 winning percentage to get into the College Football Hall of Fame. Like, who made these rules? Why do they exist? Trent Sisley is as Indiana as Damon Bailey was. Just he happened to spend, Damon happened to be in the right place at the right time, high school wise. He had a terrific team around him and he lifted everybody and they had a great state and all that. But for Trent, maybe that's not the circumstance. So that's one thing. The second thing, look, there are pluses and minuses to what he's doing. The plus is that he's at least going to Montverde, which has a terrific coach in Kevin Boyle. So he's not de-escalating in that. There are elite prep schools out there where that's a problem, where you're not going to a equivalent or better coach, that you're going and you're playing more ball where you're not really all that well structured and all that well trained. That's a problem in a lot of the elite prep ball. The problem that I worry about, Jim, with Trent and any young player who goes this route, and it's become more and more common. I mean, you're looking at the top players, very few of them, or a very small percentage now, are playing for their original high schools, traditional high schools. They're playing, so many of them now play for the elite prep schools. And I think that what we're doing here is we are taking players who need to learn how to be great. Being dominant is a skill. It's one of the most important skills in basketball. I the other night, after the second round of the NBA draft, Adrian Wojnarowski, my friend from ESPN, talked about that as an issue in basketball. And he talked about a lot of different things, going away from very capable, if not outstanding, high school coaches in favor of going to play at these elite prep schools. And he talked about some of those problems of getting away from that coaching. And as I mentioned, some of the elite prep schools don't have great coaching. And I saw that, and I said, and it was on Twitter, and I sort of amplified it by saying, my biggest concern is that's a problem. But my biggest concern is that the best young American players go and learn to be role players. That's like, why are you learning to be a role player when you're 16 or 17? You should be learning to be a role player at the earliest when you get to college, and sometimes not even then. I mean, Steph Curry. One of the reasons Steph Curry became the Steph Curry is that he never had to be a role player. He was a star in high school, a star in college. He became a big star in college, and then he goes to Golden State and eventually builds himself into a star at the NBA level. He knew what it was, what it required. Almost everybody in the NBA is eventually going to be a role player. Almost everybody. There are only so many Stephs and LeBrons and KDs and et cetera, D Wades. So there's only so many of those guys. But if you are already sort of opting out of the pursuit of greatness when you're 17, you're never going to get there.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's becoming a little more prevalent in the sport now, even in football. But it's more noticeable, I think, in basketball because the numbers are smaller and all of that. And he was it at Heritage Hills. He was the draw. So I feel bad for them, but again, he's got to do what's in his best interest. And I think that was a decision. I know that this was a hard decision for the family because his dad is a teacher at the school. They are very, very much involved in that community. His brother played there. As a matter of fact, he broke his brother's rebounding record in his junior year. And I think he's also the scoring leader, maybe. So he'll leave there as the scoring and rebounding leader after just 3 years. And I was in high school, as we all were. I remember how much fun it was. I was a football player, so I wasn't good enough to play basketball for our school. But I remember how much fun it was to be a part of that. Sectionals and regionals and all of that. It was a blast. And that's such a great part of the high school experience. And I know that is the same for the players. Those are great memories. And he'll have different memories, but you only go to high school once. And there's mixed feelings for me on it. But at the end of the day, it's not me. It's not my future. And I understand that if someone feels that this is what's best for them, then who am I, to ever question that? But I understand a lot of it.
It is their decision, but I just in a generic sense, taking Trent out of it and just using the generic concept, you get enough of that, of playing against higher level competition, against better players, with better players in the AAU circuit, that you don't necessarily need to do the high school thing and feel like you're falling behind. Look, you're not falling behind anybody in when you look at some of the rankings and see how the players are performing that come out in the ranks. Donovan Clingan went 7th in the NBA draft. He was like 53rd in his high school class. The rankings don't mean anything now. They have never meant less. The performances of the highest ranked players are so out of line with the ratings themselves right now that they've never meant less. You look at UConn's championship team and Purdue, who played them in the championship game. How many McDonald's All-Americans were on the floor in that entire game? How many top 25, top 30 recruits were on the floor? And you look again at the NBA draft, and you don't see it reflected all that well there, or else we wouldn't have had so many international players play. So I'm not worried about rankings. I'm just worried about development. And if you're getting offered by the best schools, they know that you have talent and they'll get it out of you. So I'm just talking generically because I don't know Trent. I don't know his family. I'm just saying that with AAU basketball being where it is, and the amount of competition you get in that now in the spring, summer, and if you want the fall, you don't have to necessarily sacrifice everything you just talked about in order to get great competition at the prep school level. Competition is the least of your concerns in a high school season in terms of like you have to play against great players. You're, like I said, you get that in the summer, and you're getting every best kid in the country on the floor with you. You're getting plenty of that in the spring and summer. So if you are getting skill development and team development and that, like I talked about before, that opportunity to become the guy, I think all of that is plenty for any young prospect.
Yeah, I think that, again, not using even Trent here, but anybody that's in this position, I do think they're going to get a much higher challenge of playing at a championship level more frequently, and the coaching. Like you said, Kevin Boyle he's a multi-time national champion. That means he has great talent, but you have to guide that talent. He doesn't have the 5 best guys in the country every year. There are other programs, IMG, Lalamere, all these other prep schools. So I think it's also, he's looking at individual development from a year-round standpoint. And I mean, I don't disagree with what he's doing. I completely understand it. I hate to see it, but it is what it is, and it's just part of where we're evolving to, part of the sport evolving. And I'm not necessarily saying it's a good thing. It just is what it is.
I'm saying that I don't think it's a good thing. I think the evidence is showing it's not. I think that we have seen a decline in American basketball talent development since this became the trend. I think in the last 10 years, we have seen a significant decline. We still produce a lot of players, but we don't produce the level of players that we once did. There used to be an elite player in almost every draft. And now you go through each of the last 2 years and you go, where is it? It's just not there. It's become a very disappointing element of American basketball, how the talent development system has gone off the rails. And what's interesting is instead of just saying, well, look what we used to do and didn't that work, we're saying, well, the Europeans do it better, so we should do what they do. Well, it's not like they're producing great volumes of players. It's not like they're having consistent success with their youth development teams, or else the United States U17 teams wouldn't be winning by an average of 60 points a game, which they are right now. They just won their 3rd game. Their average margin of victory in the pool play was 60 points. So it's not like we're not developing players, but we're not at that crucial stage, which is that 17, 18, 19 stage. We're not getting them from promising to accomplished or promising to elite prospect. It's not that threshold has been difficult to breach over the last decade or so. And I still think that the biggest change in that time has been the development of this elite prep school network that plays against one another and I just don't see the same level of player coming out that we used to have.
Are there too many options now?
Well, I mean, I think that the option of playing in that circumstance, look, it used to be there was Oak Hill and what else? I mean, it was basically just them if you needed to be in a situation like that, which rescued the careers of a lot of players. I mean,
and the one up in Massachusetts or Maine or someplace, there was one up.
MCI, Maine Central Institute with Max Good, who was another tremendous coach. Max, along the lines of Kevin, just a great coach who found this niche at MCI, eventually became head coach at UNLV for a while, and Loyola, maybe not UNLV. I think he did coach UNLV. I know he coached Loyola Marymount for a while. There were a few of those for players who needed it. For whatever reason, whether it was to get out of a difficult circumstance or maybe academically they needed some work. A lot of players did that, and it worked for them. But now we see such a great percentage of American high school players going into that elite prep school. And when I say about learning to be a role player, I should establish is that you are going there, and there are like 7 other really talented guys there. And so, like, one doesn't necessarily stand out above the others. And so everybody kind of just mixes in, unless you're a Cooper Flagg or a LeBron James. Of course, LeBron never left his high school, but unless you're that level of talent, then you don't get there. Anthony Davis never left his high school and became the best player in college basketball and a multi-time All-Star and an NBA champion. I just don't think it's necessary to go in that direction. For some people, it's great that there's a Kevin Boyle out there and a Montverde Academy because it really does work for the player who needs it. Or a Lalu, that helped a lot of people. But it's become predominant, not just available, but predominant. And I don't think that's helped.
Yeah, a lot of notable names have come out of, say, Montverde. Cooper Flagg is going to be the next notable one who is already the number one He's the number one expected pick in next year's draft, right?
Yes, of course.
Isn't that crazy to not even have played a dribble in college yet? And, he's the number one draft pick in the NBA. I'm like, he hadn't even played a dribble in college yet, man.
Well, yeah, but when I saw LeBron for the first time, I saw him play in between his sophomore year and his junior year of high school at the ABCD camp, Jim. And I knew right then that he was going to be the best player in the NBA someday. I mean, there wasn't any question. I compared him to the Beatles. I compared him to Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson in the first thing that I ever wrote about LeBron. And I was criticized by an Akron columnist for overhyping him. And then 5 months after I wrote that, LeBron was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So, I mean, it's like sometimes it's obvious. The first time I saw Greg Oden, there was no doubt he was going to be extraordinary. I wasn't an orthopedist, so I didn't examine his feet and knees, but I examined his game, and for as long as his feet and knees held up, he was extraordinary. Don't forget that 2007 championship game when he took on at once Joakim Noah, Al Horford, Chris Richards, Marquis Spates, took them all on and threw them all out of the game and required Lee Humphrey to come in and save Florida. So that's how great Greg was. And I saw him I believe at the same age, like after his sophomore year of high school. The most talented players you just know. So I don't know that it's out of line to believe that Cooper will be the number one pick in next year's draft. I just hope he stays healthy because that's, to me, the only obstacle to that becoming the case.
Let's take a quick break. Mike DeCourcy is with us. Plenty more to talk about. And speaking of which, I'll ask, why don't they just do away with this stupid 1-year wait to the NBA? I think that it's pointless for colleges now. But plenty more here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Autograph app, where real fans get unreal rewards. The first app to track and reward fans for what they love most, turning passion into access. Just download the Autograph app today in either your Apple app or Google Play stores. Apple Autograph, where unhinged fandom meets unreal rewards. Just use the link to upload it and use the code ISB Media. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
If you're looking for a How was your weekend, Mike?
Oh, it was good. Yeah, real good. Nothing eventful, but it was nice.
I hear you. Me either. I'm enjoying uneventful weekends, although they're about to come to a close. Let's see.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I got to turn the calendar. Oh, let's see. Today's just the second. So this is like the last empty week. The AAU championships begin next week.
Yep.
And
Are you going to Peach Jam or?
if I went to one, I'd probably go to the Adidas 3SSB. That's where Indy Heat is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and with Sisley and Mullins and Malachi Moreno.
And where is that played?
That's in Rock Hill, South Carolina, probably 30 minutes from Charlotte.
Yes. I know exactly where Rock Hill is.
All right, here we go, guys. 10 seconds.
9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Thank you so much for being with us. As always, Jim Coyle here, and joined by Mike DeCourcy, as always, from the Sporting News and Big Ten Network. Brought to you by our good friend Cheryl Sizemore and Remax Realty for those in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area. You need Cheryl and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Mike DeCourcy along with us, like I said, from the Sporting News. And Mike, why not do away with the 1-year moratorium of high school kids coming out of high school to go to the NBA? In the NFL, I get it. It's about maturity. It's about strength and size and the difference in that. I truly agree with that it takes a little longer to be ready for that sport. Basketball, no, because we've already seen it without it. And we've seen guys, if they're ready, they're ready. If they're not, then there'll be some issues because guys will get drafted that weren't ready. But I don't, what is the point of having a 1-year something, forcing guys to go to school for 1 year, not school necessarily, but to sit out for 1 year?
Well, the reason is that the NBA's product is talent. It is high-level basketball competition, which is provided by the most talented players in the world, ideally. And if you are just saying, we don't care how our talent is developed, if you're just saying whatever, that we don't care if anybody comes to us with any particular training, that's like saying, why not do away with the requirement for medical school to be a surgeon? Just, you're smart, you'll figure it out. Like, that's not a great approach to anything. You should be arriving with some level of training that is beyond what you can get from a high school coach who, some of them are phenomenal, but they aren't trained to turn young people into professional basketball players. That's not their job. Their job is to basically create an environment in which young people between 15 and 18, 15 and 19 can enjoy an extracurricular activity and hopefully be good at it. That's what a high school coach's job is. Their assignment isn't to turn young people into professionals, but that's what the college coach's job is. I mean, obviously you have to win games, but the way you win games is by taking young people and making them into significant basketball prospects. That's what your job is. You've done it if you're Bill Self or you're John Calipari or whomever for decades. If you're even almost anybody that becomes a head coach in men's college basketball is going to have a decade or more of experience at working with players at that level. So you don't just say to Mike DeCourcy, point guard, Elizabeth Forward High School, just go ahead, and if you want to enter the NBA draft, that's fine. We'll figure it all out. I mean, they need to be trained in order to succeed. We've already got a problem where we don't, as I've mentioned before, the talent level, the talent system isn't producing as it once did. If you go away from the age limit, then it becomes even worse. I absolutely think the NBA is wise here. I think it'd probably be smarter to up it because it would probably be helpful to have a couple of years. But I don't think it makes any sense for the NBA to say that they don't care about how their product is developed at all. That to me would be nonsensical. We see it in Europe sometimes that 15 or 16-year-olds will play in professional basketball, but that's part of it. Part of what it shows you is that level of basketball is not what you face in the NBA. We see international players come over to college a lot of times and they don't succeed because the jump in competition is more significant than people realize. You're playing in a professional club. Shouldn't you come in and kick everybody's tail? But that doesn't always happen. Some of them take multiple years to even become contributors. UCLA went into the international market last year hard because they were having trouble with name, image, and likeness at that stage. They've rectified it, as you could tell from this year's class, but they had trouble at that stage, and so they went to the international market, and their players did not perform very well. They weren't ready for the jump in competition. So it's not, you need to have that time to develop as a prospect before you go and take on the absolute best players in the world.
What about, this is crazy, this is off the charts, but what about having an invitational only draft?
I don't know what that means.
For the NBA. I don't know how they would arrive at it, but to where there were only certain players invited to the draft instead of all of these guys going into it without a way out, which I know that I guess that as long as you don't hire an agent, you're still fine now. I guess that they've rectified that, but to try to squeeze it down a little bit, I'm just mud spitballing here.
Yeah, well, I mean, you'd wind up with an invitation to go to court from antitrust.
Yeah,
antitrust
of course you would.
Yeah, I mean, you can't tell people that they're not invited to work for you. I mean, you can decide who you hire, but if you tell them they're not even allowed to apply, there's no way that would withstand court action. So I don't think that's workable. And I don't necessarily see any problem with the NBA draft process as it is. You have multiple options as you leave high school to a direction you want to take for that year or more. You can play internationally. You can play in the G League, even though they've withdrawn the G League Ignite program. You're still eligible to play in the G League. You're just not going to make $500,000 a year doing it. You can play for Overtime Elite. They've taken players that want to play for them. I still don't understand what Overtime Elite is supposed to be. I don't get what its purpose is, but it's there if you want it. And then you have college basketball as well at whatever level you choose. So you can do any of those in that 1 year. And I'm vehement, and I have been from the very beginning, that this is what's necessary for the development of young basketball players. We had too many really talented young people who had significant futures who thought they had to get to the league today and bombed because of that. They weren't ready for the league. They weren't ready for the responsibilities of being in the league. They'd never played at a high, they'd never played against significant high level competition. So they weren't ready for the type of players they'd have to go against. And some of them made a lot of money. I mean, Kwame Brown made a lot of money, but never came close to attaining his potential as a basketball player. And I just don't see how Kwame Brown is better off as a punchline than he would have been as a significant player in college, a high draft choice in the NBA, and then a successful pro. I can't imagine that wouldn't have been a better course for him.
There are two names, Eric Gordon and Mike Conley Jr., that are one of, I think, 5 players in the NBA today that have played 17 seasons or more. Both of those last two will be entering their 17th season in a league that averages, 3 or 4 years per player, maybe max. First of all, where have those players gone? Because that's outstanding. And to have 2 of them at the same time is crazy. But does this go back to what we were talking about earlier in development? Both of these guys played all through high school at their high school.
Right. And
well,
that helps.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I don't, as I said, I'm not adamant about playing for your high school. I mean, I've always thought that high school transfer rules are much too stringent. I don't believe that you should be required to play at your school if you have a bad coach and there's, and you're willing to, to take whatever effort to go to the next town that has a great coach. I believe that should be no problem. And I know that in a lot of cases that gets flagged and the players withdrawn from competition. But
it's called recruiting, Mike.
Yes, I don't have any problem with that at the high school level. I really don't, because I happen to go to a high school where we had a phenomenal journalism program, and I have no doubt that helped me. What if I'd gone to the next high school over where they printed the school paper on the copy machine? I mean, and the teacher didn't know anything. What if that happened? I mean, would I have still made it? I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, who knows? But I was blessed. I saw young people go to play for high school coaches that weren't very good, and I don't know if it affected their development or not, but I would imagine it did. So I think that whether or not you played for your own high school is not necessarily the issue for me that we started with, which is that elite prep school thing where you're playing with 5-star guys. I don't necessarily think that it helps you to play with 5-star guys when you're 16 or 17. Let that wait until you're in college at the earliest, because eventually you're going to be in the NBA and you're going to be playing with the best players in the world. And then you're going to have to find, okay, what do I do better than everybody? But it starts with, I'm better than everybody, and I prove it every time I'm on the floor.
What's up next for you, sir?
Well, not any U.S. men's national soccer team games. I'll tell you that. I expected that I would be covering more of those, but I won't be. So it might dabble a little bit still in Copa America, especially when Argentina plays because of Lionel Messi. But I think the audience for Copa America with Mexico out and the United States out is going to be a little bit more difficult to ascertain. But we still have the Euros, so I'll still do a little bit of that as well. The Olympics are coming up, Jim. We have a big project we've planned at the Sporting News that we're really excited about. I've got some contributions to that as well. So plenty of stuff.
Surprised you're not in Paris, Mike. I'm surprised, man. You're not having a oh gosh, what are they known for? Crepes, some crepes.
Oh, I will tell you, if ever there were an Olympics I wanted to attend, it would be this one. Paris is the most amazing city on the planet. When people, I've traveled a lot, maybe not as much as some, but I've traveled a lot internationally. And when people say, okay, if you can only go to one place, what's the place? And the answer is absolutely 100% Paris. It's just phenomenal. So for those who are heading over to the Olympics to watch, and I know there may be some people listening who are going to watch as parents of athletes, because I know Indiana had a pretty phenomenal selection process or trials process. A lot of young people.
The most swimmers of any state in the country coming from Indiana.
Yeah. So good luck to them. You're going to the right place. And if you can get in, for everybody that's listening, everybody that's going, across the street from the Louvre, there is a cafe called Angelina's. Okay. I am not a food critic. I am not much of an eater. But I will tell you that the hot chocolate, I do not even like hot beverages. I don't drink coffee or tea or whatever. The hot chocolate at Angelina's is the best thing I've ever tasted. So if you're going to Paris, make sure you get to Angelina's. You won't regret it.
But don't go to the Louvre on Tuesday because Tuesday is cleaning day. I speak from experience. One day I was there and was like, go to the Louvre. We're closed for cleaning. I'm like, what?
Oh, wow.
You all can't do that at night. But
same thing that happened to us when first time we went to Paris and we were planning to go to Versailles on Monday. We didn't get to Paris until our second trip because Versailles is closed on Monday. So crazy. Same thing. You got to plan ahead, man.
I'm telling you, boy. Golly. Mike DeCourcy, Sporting News, Big Ten Network. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Look forward to next week.
Thanks, Jim.
You betcha. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Free Think Apparel and Promotions, whether it's 24 t-shirts for the family reunion or 200 for this season's recreational softball or baseball leagues. Free Think Apparel meets your printing needs. They can wrap your vehicles and anything else, whether it's a large corporation, small business, high school sports teams, national accounts. Free Think Apparel delivers no matter where you are. Visit freethinkapparel.com today and get printing. Back with Chronic Hoosier after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market.
Good morning, Chronic. Oh, I see you're muted. Maybe you're muted on purpose, but I do see that you are muted.
I was. I'm sorry. I had to take a call. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
What's going on?
Oh, brother, just the normal stuff. How are you doing?
Oh, another day in paradise. We're chasing my tail.
That's what I spend my days doing. Okay, boom. Oh, yes. All right. What's new with you, sir?
Oh, not a thing, man. Not a dang thing. Just watching summer slip by us with each passing day.
Yeah. Let's see. We were talking earlier about Trent Sisley's decision to go to Montverde.
Keep losing the best. And it's tough. You want to see the kids stand or stay home. And at the same time, you want to see them achieve their fullest. And I'm not, without any individual commentary on schools and situations and whatnot. It's just tough. IU loves getting all those Montverde kids. And when they're showing out on the national stage, It's just nobody wants to see him leaving Indiana high school to go do that, to go take that route.
Yeah, we were talking about that. It's a shame. I think this is a good move for Trent, for his personal development. But I agree with what you said. I mean, yeah, it just sucks. Well, what the hell did I just do? Who are your top 4 teams for the Big Ten next year?
I have no clue.
Oh, he dropped out, didn't he? Right now, it's ready to bring us back in. Well, I'll pull him in when he gets back. I'm sure he'll pop in just a moment.
Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Ravesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details. This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Thank you so much for being with us. Brought to you by our good friends at Andy Moore Honda. Just go to andymoorehonda.com and get more to your door, the best in new and used vehicles. Welcome in, Chronic Hoosier. How is it going, sir?
You know, man, I would be so much better if I either had reliable Wi-Fi or cell service when I talk with you. Other than that, I'm doing awesome, man. How are you?
Cannot complain, brother. It's another day, and we are just going at it. Plenty to talk about here with Mike. DeCourcy, who just left us, was just with us. We were talking a lot about Trent Sisley and his recent decision that came out yesterday that he will be transferring to Montverde Academy for his senior season. And there's a lot of thoughts that go with that, because I hate it for the state of Indiana that loses another player like that, like Jalen Harrelson. You had Caden Catchings the year before that, and there were plenty others, but because he won't be a part of the All-Star festivities as he was this year as a junior. He won't be eligible for Mr. Basketball, which I know he hates that. That stuff, that had to be a part of this very, very difficult decision for him and his family. His family won't be able to see his games like they are so used to, and they're so entrenched in that community. But for Trent on this particular team, if he was playing for Lawrence North or one of those type teams, I don't know that this happens, to be honest with you. But unfortunately, he just did not have enough help around him, and he was being forced to play out of position. And I get it. It's like, you can't, there's no point in playing a whole nother season out of position. It's almost like spinning your wheels for that time. And now he'll be able to go play the position he is meant for and develop and work at that. Not only that, but he'll be able to do so under a national championship coach at a national championship program. And that just has to benefit him, I'm going to think.
Undoubtedly, you know, it's a double-edged sword for Indiana fans right now, because on the one hand, you always hate to see the state's top talent leave the state at any level, but especially in high school, you know, when they're arguably the most accessible, even if it's just, you know, they're on a traveling tour of all their regional gyms, and it just makes them available for people to watch in person and up close. At the same time, you know, every Indiana fan, every college fan is cheering when they see their school landing, you know, these top recruits from the national powerhouses, because these guys are playing at the highest level of the game in high school right now, you know, on a national stage, you know, traveling like a select team across the country, during the season playing the top competition. It's the whole iron sharpens iron thing. So it's tough because you want to have your cake and eat it here too. It's just not the case. So it's a tough one to swallow as a fan standpoint, but you want to see the kids achieve their fullest potential. And it's tough to argue that this isn't exactly what that move's going to enable for him.
Yeah, like I said, I've been down to Montverde a couple of times, and I understand that program, how it works, how it's run. Kevin Boyle it's a level up. I mean, it's like going to a prep school in essence. I mean, it is a prep school. It's a basketball prep school, but it's also this is not just a basketball school. They excel in virtually every category. They have students from around the world that studied various things at that academy. So it's not a basketball factory. It is just an academy that has a great basketball program as part of what they have. So they're serious about everything they do. And I just think this is going to be beneficial to Trent as a basketball player and a person probably. It puts you in another element. You want to talk about prepping for college? Well, what the hell's going to prep you more for college than going away and playing that far away from home? School is probably going to be a little tougher, which is good as well. But and it's also going to open some eyes to Trent. He will end up getting more offers out of this now, but he's already cut his list down. I don't think this is not about getting more exposure. It's not about getting more offers. He already has the offers from places where he would most likely play his college ball, in my opinion. And I cannot for anything imagine that being outside of the Big Ten, with one slight exception at Notre Dame. But I just don't see that. But I think that this is in his best interest, as hard as it is for the state to lose that. For the state to lose another big talent like that, it stinks. But it's not about it. It ain't about us, baby.
No, and it's not like it's only that Montverde is the only school where kids are leaving for either. How many times have we seen Jalen Harrison up at La Lu? Kids even going from community to community, even if they stay public, just seeking out better opportunities for themselves. And it's as much as you hate to see a front runner for Mr. Basketball, effectively take his name out of the contention because he's no longer eligible. Let's not be naive and act like this doesn't happen all the time at every level. And quite honestly, it's what you have to support if you truly believe in these guys having the freedom to control their destiny, to make the choices in their lives. And it is what it is. It's just the way that the game is being played now, and with so much freedom of movement, even with the restrictions that are in place in high school, it's become far more commonplace than I think a lot of folks acknowledge. And it's not even just limited to the men's game, for crying out loud. I mean, you can look at Bedford North Lawrence women's team over the years and tell me how they've amassed that talent. Kids are going where the opportunities are best suited for them, and kudos to them for achieving the most. But it's just what's become here. And you hit on a big point too. I'm along those same lines. I spent 2 years in a public high school and then finished my junior and senior at a private school up at Culver Military Academy. Part of it was athletics based. Part of it was I was just ready for a new step in life. And you were 100% spot on. You grow up a whole lot when you're living on your own, even when you've got people doing your laundry, cooking your food, and everything else. It's another step in the young adult's maturation. So there's a reason that a lot of the kids coming from these prep schools are heralded as being more college ready than the average ones. And part of it's they're playing the top competition year round. But a big part of it is they are accustomed to the travel. They're accustomed to the academic rigors. They're accustomed to the homesickness that everybody deals with at some degree, and it just allows them to cross those bridges at an earlier rate than what some of their contemporaries do. And I do think that makes them more adapt to adjusting for their freshman year in college.
Yeah, and I don't think that this has any bearing on recruiting. Trent has already named his final schools that are on his list. Now, not to saying that can't change, because good gosh, everything changes all the time. In a commitment doesn't seem to mean jack squat anymore. When you have a Julian Lewis, the quarterback, Juju Lewis, committed to USC, but was taking all these visits afterwards. I'm like, well, what the hell's that commitment worth if you're taking all of these other visits? So I'm not sure what a commitment means to everybody today. Doesn't mean a lot. Who was the Kanan? Was it Kanan Catchings that was just talking about at Purdue? That they just lost. So after he had even arrived on campus. So I don't think that this is going to have a bearing on recruiting, although it will open his exposure to a lot of other people. He doesn't really need that. He's got offers from Purdue, Indiana, Michigan State, Iowa, Notre Dame. I don't really see him going further than that for college, but up until a day ago or a couple of days ago, I didn't expect him leaving high school, although that had been, talked about for a year. And because of the fact that he plays for a small school, and it's not beneficial to be the guy and to get triple teamed every night. It's not beneficial to be the guy, but have to play center when you're not a center, you're a forward. So you're not benefiting in that game. There's no way you're personally benefiting athletically at that juncture. So I think that this is a wise move, and as much as it sucks, I don't think it's going to impact whether he picks Indiana or Purdue or Notre Dame or whomever is his ultimate destination. Indiana would, if you want to look at it this way, they've got a 50-50 record with at Montverde. They or is it better than that? No, 50-50 record. You pull in Jalen Hood-Schifino, you got Malik Renew, you lose Liam McNeely, and you lost Derek Queen, but they have that relationship already. That is probably a benefit, I would think. But again, I just don't, this is nothing to do with recruiting. This is all about Trent Sisley, making Trent Sisley better, a better person, a better basketball player, just better down the line. And that's all that matters to me. That's what I think is the whole point of that.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's what he and his family have decided is best for him, and agree or disagree with it. You got to respect it. It's just what it is anymore. And, whether or not the kid ends up at Indiana, whether or not he stays in state, it doesn't change the fact you want to see him do their best. It's just one of those where it's, they're taking a step in the direction they want to at the moment. And maybe that leads them back to Indiana. Maybe it doesn't. I have to imagine he's going to come out of it better than he was going in. So support him every way.
Absolutely. It is what it is. What else is going on in your world, my friend?
Not a thing, man. Crazy to believe it's Fair Week already. It's July already. I'm still kind of shaking my head at how quickly this is passing us by here.
Yes, it is. School will be back, and Indiana football around the corner as well. Big Ten Media Days coming up in about 3 weeks. So we've got it all coming, man. Appreciate Chronic Hoosier joining us here on the program today. As always, we've got lots more coming up, including former Hoosier Charlie Miller joining us on the program, brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East. Chronic, we appreciate you, brother. Hope you have a great week.
Hey, maybe one week I'll have an internet connection that keeps me in contact with you.
We
Appreciate
love you regardless. You
bet. Be good.
Lots
Later.
Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Formerly be.
All right.
All right, we're just missing Charlie now, right?
Yeah, I'm sending him a message right now. Haven't talked with Charlie in a long time.
I know it. Speaking of which, did I send you? He sent me a. Maybe I did, or maybe I didn't. Damn it! Where is it? All right. Share. Do you prefer email or text for links?
Anything that you want me to show on the StreamYard, I prefer through email because I always end up sending it to myself when you text it to me. So I can't upload it directly from my phone.
That's what I figured. I'm sending you one right now in regards to Charlie Miller Camp. Hey, anybody out there listening that has available mornings, a good sports acumen, might be interested in becoming a backup producer for the show, you have to have IT experience. Not immensely, but you got to know what the hell you're doing on a computer. Social media skills help as well. We need one. So keep that in mind. Stephen?
Better yet, send a direct message to one of us. That's probably the best way to do it.
And do so ASAP, please. I just sent that to you, John Boy.
Okay.
It's about his camps.
Just to clarify, you did tell, I know, hold on, he just texted me. Okay, yeah, he's buried hop on. He just sent me the link, the same link that I think you sent me. So I'll make sure I get that up here in just a moment. Or once we get rolling here. All right, here we go.
36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by the Fresh Fork in Bloomington. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. We appreciate you being with us as always. Brought to you by the Fresh Fork. Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle. With the Fresh Fork, chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Order online and let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code Radio20 and get $20 off your first order. Support those who support us. Surprise your wife. She doesn't even have to make a meal. You can make this. You can have this delivered without her knowing it. You could just set it up like you did it, and look like you're the king, man. Come on, let's go, people. Let's support these people that support us. I know you guys are all over the place, but we appreciate you. Charlie Miller, former IU basketball player and current trainer, will be joining us here shortly. He's looking to get on, and let's see, Russell on the Andy Moore Honda hotline asked, will the Hall of Fame Classic drop Heritage Hills? I would think most assuredly that will happen, because the biggest reason was Trent Sisley. So, and without him, you can imagine the hit that team is going to take. So my answer to that would be an affirmative yes. There will be a change in that. Philip thinks that with Trent coming on the show multiple times, that he thinks Indiana has a small edge over Purdue. Let's see. And then Russell says, I am seeing more Purdue on the internet. It's late. You can't, that stuff means nothing. I don't care what the internet says. So and I'm not pointing in any direction because there's no direction to point at right now. So there's that. This has in my opinion, this has no bearing on recruiting for Trent Sisley going to Montverde. This is about Trent Sisley and his development. That's all that this is. He wants to be as good a player and person as he can. Comes from a great family already, but he wants to improve his game. We'll talk more about this when Todd joins us, Todd Leary, on Monday again, because he has worked with him. He understands what we're talking about. He understands why this move was a right move. And I'm more than confident he'll tell you that very thing, that this was in Trent Sisley's best interest. It's not always in everyone's best interest. Everyone doesn't always need it. And this is very positional, to be honest with you. Someone like Braylon Mullins, he has the ball in his hands all the time. So that's why that doesn't matter quite as much. Quite like our good friend Charlie Miller. What's up, my man?
Long time no see. How you guys doing?
Oh, it's been too long, my friend.
Oh, man, too long. Too busy. Too much going on.
Got a little different office setup there, I noticed.
Well, the angle changed. I normally have it like this.
Yes. There we go.
I just changed the angle on you.
See, you shouldn't have let that secret out, because you could have said, I'm coming from my Metro or my mobile studio. And then you could have just said,
okay, well,
changed it out.
I'm too honest, I guess. Too honest. How you been, Jim?
Buddy, better now that I'm seeing your good face, man. It's been a long time. I sure miss talking to you. First of all, I want to ask, how's your son doing?
Son is doing well. Thank you for asking. He is fully recovered. We had a tremendous scare that was amazing. For you all who may not know, as he asked the question, my 22-year-old son, Cameron Miller, he was sick. He was he went to Midway University and just had tonsillitis. It was just a regular, simple tonsillitis, something that amoxicillin to take away, and he actually became septic. Organs started shutting down. He was on life support. And I tell you what, it's amazing how I was on the court in Dallas, 5:30 Sunday. I'm in Lexington, Kentucky, 11:30 at night, in the hospital looking at him on life support. And I'm telling you what, and I don't say this without slight, those days with Coach Knight prepared me for what I experienced, and it was all about positivity. So I told the doctors when they came in there, he's sick. We know that. What is the solution? He's going to get better. Let's talk positive. I don't want to go into what's already happened. Let's talk about the solution. So he's healed. He's fully healed, Jim. So thanks for asking.
That's awesome. I know that there was some close times there. We were talking. This has been a little bit, and I was like,
"Yeah,
I can't imagine going through that with my daughter." It's it's just whoo. But
and let me tell you something too. It's funny. It didn't hit me until I left. It's when he came. He was out of the coma. He was up. I stayed like a week. It really didn't hit me until I left to say, man, just take care of yourself, right? And it was like the sentimental time right there that really just jolted me. Because prior to that, you had no time to react. It was more about staying positive, staying upbeat, and just knowing that he was going to recover fully. But it was just a matter of when.
Well, could not be happier for you and your family. Great family. And yes, Could not be happier. What else has your summer been like? I know you've been busy with camps and traveling all over the place. Where are some of the places that you've been doing these?
Yeah. So as of first of June, I was in Cheyenne, Wyoming for a camp.
Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Yeah, Wyoming.
Did you go to the daddy of them all, the Cheyenne Frontier Days, baby?
No Frontiers. I didn't have time. Didn't have time. So Cheyenne, Wyoming. After Cheyenne, Wyoming, I went to Denver, Colorado.
Not to interrupt you. See this number I'm pointing to?
Yeah, 349. Yeah.
That's a rodeo back number from the Cheyenne Frontier Days.
Nice.
Right here,
nice. No, also, I appreciate that. Good information. But no, it was Cheyenne, Wyoming. Then I drove to Denver, Colorado on a Sunday because the camps are 3 days, 6 hours each, so 18 hours total. Went from Cheyenne, Wyoming to Denver, Colorado.
Did you have a cowboy hat on?
No cowboy hat.
Damn.
Just straight shorts and ready to work on that court, man. After Denver, came home for a couple of days, went to Atlanta, Georgia. I had a week-long camp where we teach not only basketball skills, but life skills for 2 hours each night from Monday through Friday. Intense, time intense, information intense, game intense. After left Atlanta, came home for a day and a half, went to Chicago to the Lake Forest area, went to Lake Forest College and did the same camp, another week-long camp. So 16 hours of life skills, 30 plus hours of basketball skills. I was just fired up. I mean, seriously, because we had great results, great reviews. One of the things I love about these camps too, Jim, that I would say a lot of coaches don't get an opportunity to grow from are surveys, feedback from parents and players that come for a result. And getting feedback, positive feedback, knowing that you impact the lives for the better on the court, off the court. I mean, it just makes me just beam, to be honest with you.
Well, fortunately for those of you that are in the central Indiana area and beyond, but especially if you're in the central Indiana area, Charlie will be coming home of sorts in a few weeks in July 23rd through the 25th up in Fishers. They've arranged to have Charlie come in for a 3-day skill development camp, teaching players and coaches the same skills and strategies that use pro players like Joe Johnson and Rob Bell and Bruce Bowen, Carlos Arroyo, many, many others. But you're going to tell us about that camp that's coming up.
Yes, I appreciate that. So I run a signature camp with a company called Breakthrough Basketball, and it's called Attack and Counter. So it's pretty cool that it's called Attack and Counter because my business in Dallas is called Attack Basketball Academy. And what it simply is, just right to the point, how to teach players how to improve their offensive skills and gameplay through footwork and mentality, right? Something that Coach Knight taught us way back when, keeping it right there. You have an attack, you have a counter. Understand, I call it win to win. W-H-E-N, understand the situations, to W-I-N, gain advantages. That's what the camp's about. And that's the camp that I've been doing outside of the week-long camp all throughout the country. So it's July 23rd to 25th. I believe it's called the it's the Field House, Best Choice Field House. I'll be there. I look forward to it. I rarely do camps in Indiana. So what we want to do is I want to pack this out. We have still more spots available. I want to pack this out. That's why I'm glad you gave me an opportunity to come out here to talk about it, to come home and also share what I've been learning over the last 15, 14 years as a player development coach. So people can see the growth and maturity from playing in Indiana to now being a coach that travels the world, that teaches players like myself.
And how much, and there you go, you can see that if you're following us on YouTube, it's up on the screen, and I'll tweet that out as well. But
appreciate it.
How obviously it's been a few days since you played college, since the college game.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, Indiana fans remember you. But how much does your past, the weight, how much weight does that carry when you go to these camps in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and Denver, Colorado, and all that, being a former Indiana player, former Bob Knight player, and all of that?
Well, I think you have to stay relevant, right? I think to the business front, you have to stay relevant. And, that's one attraction. You see, okay, you play for Coach Knight, but then the relevancy to me is my YouTube page, Tag Me Ball, where I'm, I put out 3 videos a week, and we're up to 1,200 plus videos. We have over 16,000 plus followers. It's pretty cool, Jim, to be honest with you. I was in Atlanta, Georgia, cool story. And we were in class getting ready for life skills at 6:30 at night. Here's a kid, it's a cool name. They call them screenagers now. They're no longer teenagers, they're screenagers. So here's a kid on shorts, YouTube shorts, and I pop up. He's looking at me, he's looking at the phone. Coach. And it's pretty cool because, again, a lot of times people come to camp because of the YouTube. Hey, we saw your YouTube site. We saw you were in camp. Oh, you play for Coach Knight. Oh, we wanted to come learn from you. And people come from far and wide. I had somebody come from Barcelona, Spain, Jim. Barcelona, Spain, to come learn from me in Chicago, right? I mean, that's
a long way, man.
Yeah. So the power of the reach of YouTube, social media, staying positive, upbeat, also being relevant to today's player. It's the different player than how we played back in the 90s, but yet how to be relevant to make sure that the timeless fundamentals are still taught, and then teaching players how to execute to their coach's playbook, not my playbook, their coach's playbook. And then to see that transition just warms my heart.
Absolutely. And when did you find out that you were going to be able to do this?
I knew about this for quite some time because my schedule comes out in like December, January timeframe, because people get a chance to go on and actually sign up. So it was around that time frame. And then once I knew that I had you, and I was like, man, I want to get more people coming to this camp to celebrate more than anything. Come, have some fun, but celebrate. Being a former IU player, I rarely get a chance to come to Indianapolis or Indy area, India in general, to do camp. So I love that I have this opportunity to go here and then also promote it. I appreciate you.
Now, brother, anytime, man. You're a longtime friend of the show and a part of the show, as a matter of fact, participating in many of our post-game shows, which we are grateful to have you and a voice like yours. And look forward to it again this year, as this year is going to be a whole different year. We'll talk about that in a minute. But will you be able to get down to Bloomington while you're here?
You know what? There is time. So, camp ends at 3. On every day, camp ends at 3. That's what, an hour and 15-minute drive, if that.
Dude, they've got the new interstate, brother. It's
highway. That's right. Yeah. I forgot. Back in the day, it was only one way.
but you're going to be in Fishers, unfortunately. So you are on the absolute far side of Indianapolis, the far northeast side of Indy. It's an hour and a half max, maybe an hour 20, actually. So, and almost half the damn trip is just getting around 465 to get off on to 69.
Wow.
But yeah, it's an easy trip now, man. You will be shocked how easy it is to get down and get back.
No, I was told this. Isn't it the same way? Because I lived in Evansville for a little bit, and it was only one way to go to Evansville. Now, isn't that also opened up?
Yeah, it's the same interstate. It runs from Evansville. Actually, goes down into Kentucky, but it runs from Evansville all the way to Indianapolis now.
Wow.
Through Bloomington.
Okay. Yeah. No. I definitely will want to make that trip. The best days for me normally is that second day of camp because you got time, and then I would love to come down definitely because I'm close, and I would love to. I know the campus has grown too. I can only imagine IU Bloomington's campus only grown as well. Always.
But I assume you're getting in to see. How long's it been since you have been to Simon Scott Assembly Hall?
Man, it's when I first met you. Let's go back to that, right before COVID.
Wow.
It was actually the game. It was a Penn State game, and then not even 2 weeks later, I think COVID hit and it shut things down. So that was 2020.
That's been a minute. So it's time for you to come down. We're going to do dinner one night. So it'll be fun. I cannot wait. But most importantly, we'll have the information. I'm going to tweet it out as well. Charlie's going to retweet it. Anybody that has kids, you want to talk about an excellent developmental camp. This is it. This is one of the good ones. Charlie does this for a living. This is not a summer. Hey, I'm going to do a camp. This is what he does day in and day out. That's right. How much time have you put in personally to what you're teaching, what the curriculum that you're teaching?
No, I appreciate that question. And a lot of time. I mean, I've said this before on the show, and I'll say it again. You know, when the winter season is going on for basketball, that's my preparation season. You know, that's what I'm prepping. I'm looking at film, looking at drills, what fits, what doesn't fit, using my YouTube also as a parameter to see, you know, how can I make it engaging, intense, but fun camp where people want to come to learn and actually apply skills right away. They have to have small victories like anything, Jim. I don't really believe in buy-in, you know, where you got to coerce somebody to to be pumped up. No, it's inspiration. So I spend months, 6-7 months. And then when spring comes, now I have my soundboard and my players, my local players. I'm asking them, hey, look, does this make sense? Does this make sense? How about this? How about that? And then by the time the camp goes out, to me, it's tight. It's just honing a couple things. And then also there's 5 other coaches that run the curriculum throughout the country. So that's also my feedback. So I not only have to pay for myself, but there's 5 other people that do it in other markets that I can't get to. And I look at the feedbacks from the surveys, and the surveys, you know, we get from 0 to 10, 0 being terrible, 10 being exceptional. And it's always high 9s, you know, high 8s, 10s. So you know something's working well. So that I put a lot of time into it. So I don't take it lightly because it is my livelihood.
Absolutely. And the feedback is, how much of that do you use in maybe altering slightly what you do or making any alterations?
Oh man, a lot. I mean, you know what? If there's, you know, just like anything else, if someone in Cheyenne, Wyoming said the same thing in Denver, Colorado, and they don't know each other, and let's say it was, there's feedback for improvement, for upgrades, then I have to put that in consideration because they discovered something that I probably was thinking about. I'll change later. Well, change it now while you can. Always make adjustments, just like anything else. The highways in India are always under construction, just like us as people. You know, we're always under construction, looking to improve. And I make adjustments when needed, or that becomes also marketing material. You know, you get a testimonial that's, just really heartfelt, and you're able to really impact and improve someone within 3 days on, the comments like, hey, and I learned a lot. I learned more in 3 days than I've ever learned in 5 years. When I see comments like that across the board, you know you're doing something well. And that's when you kind of go back to, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Absolutely. And like I mentioned, we're going to try to get together and do dinner.
Yes,
we
sir.
may have to make it an autograph session for you and let the people know when we'll get it figured out, because we've got time. But we'll probably do it at like Hoosier Hanks East or something that has plenty of room. And
I love that.
We'll invite, and we'll see how many guys that are still in the area.
Well, man, because of what I'm doing year round, I don't spend a lot of time on social media like I use it for marketing. So I got a lot of friends in the area. I know Five Let's just text me. I just saw a message. Milton, his former classmate, he just texted me. So I'm more than certain if I put something out there, there's a lot of people in the area. That's where I have to be careful, where, all of a sudden now you're spread thin trying to get to everybody on touches. Right. So a lot of times, like when I go to Denver, same thing. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of people I know in Denver based upon how many years I've gone to Denver and do camps, because you start to befriend families. Like when I would go to Spokane, Washington, there'll be families that, the camp is from 7th to 12th grade. And I've had kids come from since they've been 7th grade. So I'm growing up with the kids, right? Now they're a senior, they're getting ready to go to college. And yet I'm hanging out with the families. We're going to play golf. We're going to eat dinner. I mean, so, it becomes more of a personal experience, not just, again, like a transactional in and out. So that's where I have to be careful at, when I'm there. Okay, here's how I'm going to allot my time because I got to get rest and recovery. And then we go from there.
Look at Five Lefts is one of our active chatters on the Andy Moore Honda hotline.
That's right. That's right.
You let the secret out of the bag, boy. Don't think I'm not going to use it, Milton.
I love it. Hey, Milt, that barbecue, I'm on it. Hey, brisket, and I don't like. Okay, I want sweet barbecue sauce. We don't do that vinegar. I lived in Raleigh, North Carolina. That vinegar barbecue
I don't get that either. But make sure he sends some with you for me. But I want spicy. What does he make? Does Milton make his own barbecue?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll Milt, let's hear it. Let's Jim know if you make it.
We'll see. We're going to take a quick break. We've got more coming up with Charlie Miller, former Hoosier, joining us now with Attack Basketball. He's coming to Fishers, Indiana, July 23rd through the 25th. We'll have that information up for you for a camp, but we're also going to get him down to Bloomington for a night as well. So, but we've got more coming up. Brought back right after this.
Awesome.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market.
All right.
That was awesome.
I appreciate it, man.
Look at Milton. I do it all.
Yeah. I'm about to join
Milton?
this chat.
Oh, I love that. Well, usually they have their own damn conversation, nothing to do with what we're talking about. Yesterday, I was like, what the hell? They're not even listening to what we're talking about. They're just having their own discussion.
That's funny.
Which they do quite often. The Dizzy runs are going on right now, which you probably are not familiar with. Kyle Guy has got that going on. He was on with us yesterday.
Okay, now Dizzy, so is that just like the Pro-Am? Is that Pro-Am?
He's got both. I think he has camps during the day and then the Pro-Ams at night, which is a really cool deal. He's got just all kinds of the Teagues himself, Joey Bronk. He has 2 active players from Purdue, which I'm a little surprised by. Indiana does not let their guys play in it.
Yeah.
And I understand camp has started. I'm shocked that Matt Painter lets Trey Kaufman-Renn and daggone, it was Miles Coven, I think, is the other guy that is. I'm surprised that they're allowing them to play in that since camp has started. I totally get Mike Woodson not letting his players play in an outside league like that now that camp has started, especially.
Well, here is why
it wasn't started.
Here's my thoughts as to why. One, you probably don't want to expose the players, to be honest with you. 2, I understand that, you don't want anybody to get hurt, but hell, Purdue's on a run. And that's going to help them get better. Them guards out there playing. I mean, hell, we play Pro-Ams. When I would be back in Miami, it wasn't runs. It was more so you play with the Miami Heat and the Hurricanes. That's what we did. It was you go back home, Miami, and you're working out. And, now everything is like sanctioned and all this stuff. You get the pro runs, right? But now back in the day, man, I played with the Miami Heat and the Hurricanes. We all got together and we played. So that's interesting.
Cannot wait. I'm looking forward to the summer league that's coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, the TBT, man.
Okay, so yeah, see, they got
Dude,
a team.
You're gonna be here for the TBT, by the way. We have to go to that one night, I think. Let's see.
Okay, so that is around the same time I'm there.
Yeah, I am.
July 19th is when it begins.
Oh wow!
So here we go, guys. 10 seconds.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you greatly. Brought to you by our good friends down in Sellersburg, Reynolds Family Dentistry. Go see Dr. J and keep that championship smile. He's a good one, man. He's been with us for a long time, and we appreciate Jay and Roger both. Charlie Miller, former Hoosier, with us right now. He's coming down for a camp in Fishers, July 23rd through the 25th. We'll have that information posted, but make sure if you know anyone or that can benefit from that, boom, there you go. They've got a few open spots left, and you better get them before they're gone. And Charlie, yes, TBT starts on the 19th at Hinkle Fieldhouse, and this is pretty cool. You've got a team from Indiana finally. Yep. There's a team from Butler. There's a team from Purdue. Kyle Guy owns the team that Fail Harder that opens up against Butler. I just found that out yesterday. I didn't realize that. So many connections, and it's in Hinkle Fieldhouse. Have you ever been in or played in Hinkle?
I have not. We've never. Anytime we played Butler came to us. We always played them at Assembly Hall. So I would look forward to that because now the team is called Assembly Ball, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Awesome.
Very cool play.
No. You gotta have the cool play, the cool name. I love that. Assembly Ball.
Hinkle, you've seen the movie Hoosiers, I'm sure, more than once. That's where that was filmed. But that's because that's where that game took place.
That's right.
That gym has been around for that long. It's just an iconic place to play. But if Indiana can get by their first and second round games, they play on the 23rd. For their third game, it looks like, and that is the final day. So, the 23rd, it looks like, is the final day of that region.
Of the region,
So when you first get in, I guess we're going to have to go to Hinkle that night.
That's right. Well, I tell you what, that'd be awesome. Now, who's on the team? I saw Yogi is on the team. I saw that.
Yeah. Yogi Farrell, Troy Williams, Juwan Morgan, Devontae Green. People help me. John Boy, help me out who I'm missing off. There's one name.
Jordan Hulls is one of the other alums. I think you may have nailed the head on everybody else too. Yeah, player coach.
There are a couple of other guys. Let me see if I can quickly pull up there.
Yeah, there's a few on there that aren't Indiana alums, but it is, I think, 7 out of the 10 players. Maybe there might be more than that, but the majority of the players are Indiana alums.
How about Keith Hornsby?
What?
Keith Hornsby is listed as being on there from LSU. Or he played at LSU. He's probably from Indiana. Is he related to Kyle Hornsby?
Interesting.
Julian Gamble, who went to Miami.
Yep, I see that. Christian Doolittle, who went to Oklahoma.
Miller Kopp, who played at Northwestern and Indiana. Race Thompson, former Indiana player. Rion Brown, from Miami, and I mentioned Troy Williams and Yogi Farrell. That's a pretty stout sounding team, Charlie.
It is. Wow. That's an opportunity. Again, none of this stuff existed back then, but this is so cool. They have this opportunity to still represent. And then I didn't know that you could have. Well, it's up to them. I didn't know you could have people outside of the school.
You can have anybody you want. This is not, there's no regulations to it. They tried to do that as much as possible.
Okay, yeah.
And the core pretty much is with Yogi and Troy and Jordan, Race and Miller Kopp, Juwan Morgan, Jordan Hulls, Devontae Green. All of those guys were just you guys. Now, Adam Ross, I'm not familiar with. He's listed as the head coach, although Jordan Hulls is supposed to be a player coach. And then Isaac Green is listed as an assistant coach.
Yeah.
Not familiar who that is either. And AJ Mahar is listed as the GM. So, but looking forward to it. And that's going to be fun because people have been wanting an IU TBT team for a while.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, that's great. So that's so great that we have one. And it's so interesting that it's the era about 10 plus years ago, right? So if that. So that's pretty good. I mean, they're still all in shape. They're still all playing professional basketball. That's really good. Now, when they have the 45 and over TBT, I'm in.
Hey, you know what? That's not a bad idea because I guarantee you.
I'm sorry, Joe.
That's all right. She agrees. You look like you could just jump in and start playing right now because I'm sure you stay in great shape and play a lot. But yeah, and then one of the things I want to talk to Charlie about is something that we talked about earlier in regards to Trent Sisley. Charlie, Trent Sisley is one of Indiana's top recruits, as is Braylon Mullins and Malachi Moreno and people like that. But Trent Sisley has been going to a small school in Southern Indiana. He is an all-star. He is one of the leading favorites to win Mr. Basketball next year. But it came out yesterday that he has decided to transfer to Montverde Academy for his senior year, which without question, that is in his best interest.
Correct.
He can't grow his game playing out of position, playing center when he's not a center, getting double and triple teamed every night. Right. And I just think it sucks because you lose a great player out of the state, but for him, it's a great move. And it's just going to make his game that much better.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, the trend now, if you're exceptional, an elite player, top 150, rivals, ESPN, the powers that be, it's hard to stay now at a public school or private school in the area because I think the NIL and the opportunity to grow, play, get your platform, you go to the IMGs, the Mount Verdes now, really to learn how to become a professional player. I mean, I have no disrespect to the school side. Right. I mean, I think you go to learn how to become because one, you're around more players like that. Two, everybody there is there to promote you to get you to those next levels. And that's that's the trend I've seen. Now, you know, and I'm not against it, but you know, man, you know, what opportunities young man had to stay home. But now again, you're more coerced to go make a decision to go to Mount Verde IMG versus staying home, being homegrown and organic. You know, that's just not the sign, man. You're good. Here, you have players, top one player, I think his name was Trey Johnson, went to a school in Missouri, like in the Ozarks area, left his school here. And all of a sudden now, you know, he's a possible top 5 pick next year. So, you know.
Yeah, it has just changed. It's not like it used to be. And people are going to have to accept the change because it is what it is. And no one likes change a lot of the times, but it just is what it is. And you've got to either grow with it or kind of get left behind in your beliefs in that regard.
Well, you better grow with it because adjustments is just what it is. I mean, now it's legal, right? Now NIL is legal and all these things are above board on the table. You have to adjust, right? And again, that's also why it's interesting you say this. I wonder how much time we go to IU, how much time do they really have to teach and develop their players? Because I had a coach tell me, Charlie, you're lucky to keep a player for 200 days. You're lucky to keep somebody for 200 days. Think about that, right? So it's like, how much time do you really have to teach? And that's going back to, again, possibly a reason that Mike Woodson didn't want his players playing so he could spend more time getting used to their systems, getting them better at whatever they got to get better at. You know, honing their skills. So who knows, right? But yes, it's a different game. I appreciate because that just means you're that much more better of a coach and a team because culture has to happen. Galvanization has to happen in order to win now.
Man, I am looking so forward to you getting into town. It's going to be fun. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to going to the TBT games. Those are going to be a blast with Indiana, Purdue, and Butler all there in that historic field house. And, of course, don't forget Charlie's camp that's coming up July 23rd through the 25th in Fishers. We'll have that information up again and posted out as well. And Charlie's going to be with us again next Friday.
Yes.
So we'll be here to talk about it again and talk about everything that's happened in between. Man, Charlie, I cannot thank you enough, brother. It's always great to see you. Tell the family I said hello, and looking forward to seeing you here in a couple of weeks.
No, thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you. You're my extended family. I got something I'm going to share with you offline. Might be a little teaser to keep people tuned in, that if I'm welcomed, I might be a steady every day.
Welcome is beyond a question, brother.
Might be a steady coming up in the fall.
That would be awesome. So,
we'll discuss,
don't get too excited, people, but you can go ahead and get excited because I sure am. Charlie Miller, former Hoosier, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Make sure you check out that camp information that's coming up, but we'll have more of it out there. And looking forward to that. Big thanks to Mike DeCourcy for joining us today, Chronic Hoosier as well, John, for keeping us between the white lines. Mostly thanks to each and every one of you. Without you, we have no reason to be here. We're back tomorrow to do it all again. Until then, for Charlie, John, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.